it looked like this arm wasn't attached to me then. That was weird. Ooh.
The thing is, what you don't realise, people, is we can see all of your messages guessing what time we're going to go live. So we can actually make one of you win.
Yes,
Today we decided not to let any of you win.
Oh, we could. Yes, that's true. Right, a bit. Wait, right in my head. Right then, let's get into it. Oh, Vivian's top of the shop. Hello, Vivian. Hello, how are you? Are you having dinner? You having dinner? What are you having tonight? Angela Holland's here.
Vivian's been waiting.
I know. Hi, I know, right? Hi, guys. Sorry. Hi, Angela. Heidi's here. Hey, Heidi. Toya says, hello, still at work making sweets, so this will keep me entertained. And thank you. Lol, are you still there? Making sweeties? What sort of sweets? Hi, Vicky. Hello and good morning, everyone from Australia. Good morning. Hard-boiled, like lemon sherbets, etc. They are amazing. Old-fashioned sweets that Toya and Dom make. Toya's partner, Dom, is one of our HMB Pro students. And they have a little traditional old-fashioned sweet shop. And where is it? Where is it?
It's Withhill, isn't it? Is it Withhill?
And Cornwall. And they make these most amazing sweets. They do them by hand. They pull them by hand. They put all these patterns in them and shapes and pictures, and they do every kind of sweet you can think of. And they make them. Hard-boiled sweets, incredible. They're just unbelievable. And they've got a website. Go and have a look. Susan Garvin's here. Hi, everyone. Wet, warm and windy here, which at least means the hooves will be less than rock hard for trimming when Poppy comes. Hurrah! On Saturday. Poppy's there on Saturday. Yay! That's fantastic.
I had a chat with Poppy today. She's
Lovely
all good.
Job. All good. Cherry Abdallah's here. Hello and good day from Texas. Cherry, I don't think you've been on a live before. Hello. Good to have you here. Martina's here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Martina. Pia's here. Hello. I started to look close to that post of Deborah, but I need fresh eyes and a translator. Interesting. I can translate it to you for you if you like. Melanie McCrow. Hi, everyone. Meta's here. Hi. Is it sunny with you, Meta? Aston's here. Evening all the way from South Africa. Catherine's here. Hello, Catherine. Hello, Charlie Brown. Hello. Caroline Schillig's here. Hi, warriors. All the way from Portugal. Aston says, ooh, Cherry, this is your first live, I think. So nice to see you here. Yes, very excited to be here. We're so excited to have you here. It's fantastic to see you. Welcome, Cherry. Becky Bragg, evening from a soggy Cornwall.
Hi, Becky.
I know, because I used to live there for 20 years. How is Zoe doing? Oh, going to have a little conversation about Zoe. She is sound, says Cherry. Growing toe. I owe it all to this group. Thank you so much. That definitely is one of those. Very, very good. Keep us updated. Janet Welsh is here. Evening all. Janet from Spain, isn't it? I think. Aston says, woo, fantastic. Well done. Alicia's here. Hello, Alicia. How are you? Hello, everyone. Sarah Lou's here. Hi, Sarah. Hi, everyone.
Sarah.
Janet Welsh says, new horse on my yard a month ago. Just had his shoes off today. Been shod for over 20 years. Gosh. Keep the shoes. If anybody ever takes shoes off, keep them. Keep them. 6 months down the line, put them up against the food. Put them up against the. I don't know if it's me, Gary, but you're not very loud. I wonder if it's just me. Angela, I've just turned myself up, and you up. Angela says we are taking bets 8:20. Ha. No, we were way ahead of that. We've been live now for nearly 5 minutes. Look at all their bets. Karen's here. Hi, gang. Cheers. Yes, this is boring old water again. Naughty. Sarah says, just ordered spirulina, green clay, milk thistle. I was going to say mickle thistle then. I don't know what I was saying. Milk thistle and licorice root powder to try with the horses. Oh, I love the smell of licorice root powder. Loads of essential oils coming too. I love how this journey hasn't just taught me about laminitis, whole horse health, and everything in between. Oh, and so much more is coming.
Oh, yes.
So much more is coming. Heidi's here. Yay, me too, Sarah. Can't wait for it all to arrive. Oh, get you. You've all been shopping. Johnny Ackerstorm's here. Hello.
Right.
That's it. Oh. The word wouldn't come to me. Tintagel. Tintagel,
Of course it is.
Tintagel. Nikki's here. Hello, Nikki. How's that go? Did you got all the details of the new lady? I sent Nikki the details of the lady I was meant to be sending to you. She said, I said, a new lady for you, Nikki. And she went, that lady's 3 hours from me.
Yeah, that'd be mine.
I went, oh, sorry. I meant to send that to Garry. Sorry, here you go. Lindsay, you're selling it. Good marketing speech. They are amazing.
They are amazing.
Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Gundiga's here. Hello, Gundiga. Hello from Latvia. How's it all going, Gundiga? Since our chat the other day with you and your sister, how are things? How are things? Yes, we kept them. Forgot to take photos though, says Janet. You'll become a habit eventually. One day you will. But take photos as soon as you can. If what you mean photos before they came off? Ah, damn it. Damn it. Karen says, good one, Garry. Cheers. Right.
Cheers.
Well, today we had a great post by Deborah Norris talking about lever forces. So we thought we would go in and have a little look at that. Would you like to have a look at that? I think we will. It's everything that we've been teaching for years, but of course, putting it into diagrams and talking about it and explaining it, explaining why the traditional hypothesis, because that's all you can call it, because there is absolutely zip all evidence that lever forces tear the laminae, hence the reasons why they chop the toe. And if that one's not standing up, then they'll pile in with the, oh well, it's better for breakover. I mean, basically any excuse. So let's go and have a little look see. All right, I haven't prepared this, so let me go and have a look. Share screen. Share. Okay. Let's go. Oh my God, so many. Oh, I went past it. So many posts. Oh, look, member requests. Should we go in? I've pinned it up here, everybody. So if you hear anybody that comes into the group and they get confused and they talk about lever forces, what happened then? Oh, he's gone. He's disappeared. He's popped out. Can you still hear me? So if you, oh, where was I? I've missed it now. So if anybody comes in the group and they want to talk about lever forces, then send them to this little post in the featured section by Deborah Norris. Now, Deborah Norris has been following us for years and years. I've known Deborah Norris, or she's known me, or the HM for a long, long time. And she's literally the brain of Britain, although she lives in Australia now, I think. I don't think she's Australian. I think she's Scottish. And, but I'm, yes, I think she is. But she's a mechanical engineer and she's worked in lots of very highfalutin places. She's got a big brain. And I shall go back and have a look at some of these in a minute. And here is her post. So let's have a quick little look at what she says. For those of you who have not seen it, let's have a little look. So you disappeared then, Garry. I don't know where you went. Can you hear me?
The internet dropped out. Bloody thing.
Now you're louder now. Okay, so Deborah says there's always a discussion. There's always a discussion around lever forces on toes. And as a mechanical engineer, the use of X-rays to illustrate the alleged problem has always bothered me. Now, remember, folks, there are no significant papers on this whatsoever. One paper gets quoted and it wasn't written by a mechanical engineer, right? Because the hoof doesn't have a consistent cross-section, it's a cone. In other words, if you got the foot, you cut it in half, you see two halves. But that's not consistent like a block of wood. If you had a block of wood and you cut it into sections, each section would be consistent, wouldn't it? No, with the foot. Because it's a conical shape, when you cut it in half, each section that you then cut through changes. And when you're looking at that in terms of anatomy, it's fascinating because you get to see so many different things on different slices, on different sagittal slices. So that's what she's saying there. Yet these diagrams are always drawn onto the centerline cross section, so that's the mid-sagittal section of the hoof, and extrapolating from there. I finally got round to trying to articulate what has been scratching my brain for ages, that the geometry of the hoof is protective in of itself. Exactly, it is, with its hoof capsule and the way the hoof capsule has been created and how it's been created. Because of the way the hoof wall wraps all the way around. And lever forces, if they exist, apply to a diminishing toe wall section as the hoof rotates. We're going to talk more about this, but basically, as the hoof lifts at the back and comes forward, what's on the ground, because it's rounded here, diminishes. So imagining that if all my fingers were the hoof on the ground like this, and as the back begins to lift, look, the side fingers start to come off, and then that finger comes off. It's not a very good example, but that's basically what she's saying. And this is ignoring the fact that the hoof doesn't truly start to tilt up until the horse unloads the leg as part of the start of the flight phase of the stride. And we've said this for years. If you go and lift a horse's hoof up, you go and ask the horse to pick their foot up, and they're standing on it. Let's say you're picking up the front left, and they're standing on it. You can't pick it up. That's standing on their left diagonal. You can't pick it up. So what you have to do is change balance. And when you change balance with a horse, whoop, they put the weight onto the other foot. That means you can loosen that. It's still on the ground, but they can lift it up for you because they've got no weight going through that side. Because guess what? They've got 3 other legs if they needed them. So they have the right diagonal plus the right hind should they need it. Well, some horses do if they're in a little bit of pain, but most don't. So you could pick up the left fore and the right hind, and the only other 2 that are on the ground are the opposite diagonal. Anyway, I digress. The point being that when a horse walks, before it starts to do this and lift off the ground, the weight that is going down through the leg, and therefore the weight that's coming up from the ground, is diminishing because he's unloading. And you only have to go and watch that. Ooh, funny things on my arm. You only have to go and see that when you see a horse walking. It's particularly easy to see if you look at the front feet because the knees bend. And we've explained this for years. No, it's lever forces. No, it can't be because there's actually no force going through the toe at that point. But people think of the front legs, and even in fact any leg, as if they are walking like bipeds. More on that in a minute. Anyway, I don't know if below makes sense to others. It certainly did to me, Deborah. I don't know if it holds true or if I've missed something obvious. Of course it holds true. But I'd like to... She's just so generous, isn't she? And she's just so sort of humble. But I'd like to throw it to the group to make of it what you will. The modelling is deliberately basic, as the claims are always purely in mechanics, and ignore that it is attached to an innovated biological feedback system. In other words, and we've always said this, haven't we? They are sentient beings with a brain attached to the foot. Because people go, oh, it'd be like you walking in snowshoes or clown shoes. No, it wouldn't. Because I wouldn't be able to feel the end of the snowshoe or the end of the clown shoe. I wouldn't be able to feel my foot. But there's a brain attached to the foot. It's got nerves in it. It's a biological feedback system. So if stripped back to purely mechanical problem, guess what? It still doesn't make sense to claim that the hoof can lever itself into separation. So now these are not so easy to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing and come back to you. And we have a little chat about that, if anybody wants to have a chat about that. And then I'll show you them because I put them into my Canva. Blah, 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 blah. Where did you go, Gary? Everyone tuning in a bit late. Hi, everyone tuning in a bit late. Bonsoir for evening treat from south of France. Angie's here. Hello. Okay. Shall I carry on? Does everybody want me to explain it? Or are you all happy? You don't need me to explain it? Or would you like me to explain the diagrams?
Bonsoir.
Are you very late? Gary, can you hear me? Oh, that's freaky.
Yes, but my internet's rubbish tonight.
You are at least 5 seconds behind when I speak. And he's gone again. Right. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share her images, and we're going to talk about it. Blah, 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 blah. Everybody's saying yes, 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 yes. Oh, explain it, please. Yes. Right. Okay, good. Here we go then. Let's have a look. Well, Gary can be fiddling about, flopping in and out, and we'll get on and just do this, shall we? Okay. So here are her images. So let's start with the top one. This is her just drawing examples of what the foot is and showing you why it's this conical shape. Okay, so simplified symmetrical CAD model. So that's some CAD is a software that you use to create models if you're into engineering, etc. This is just a simple truncated cone. There you go. It's just a truncated cone on a tilted axis. So that's it, looking at it upside down. You all right there, Gary? Oh, he's having trouble.
I am now. The camera. I've moved to a different location.
Okay. Okay. I'll just mute you till you get yourself sorted, and then you can come back on. That's that then. and then we've got, so it's just the hoof effectively in different shapes. So it's truncated cone, tilted, domed base, meaning, so that's like the sole, so domed. So what we're looking at under here is concave, and it would be convex on top because it's a dome, and shelled, indicative of a hoof wall and sole. So it's an illustrate principle, not to exactly replicate the hoof. And there it is. There it is again. Okay. So that's just, she's just done some diagrams for that. And then she sort of uses these diagrams to illustrate this thing here. Now, what you're looking at here from 1, 2, 3, and 4 is you're looking at various sagittal sections through the hoof. So imagine that this is your hoof. Now, number 1, they've taken a slither. She's taken a slither on the outside. There it is. Or if we go to this one, imagine this whole, imagine it's that one. You cut it straight in half, right? You've cut it in half. And what you're now going to do is you're now taking sections. Let's just see if we can do this. She's taking sections, sagittal sections, effectively through the foot, sort of like this, like that, till we get to I'm not going to do this very well, I can just feel it coming, till we get it's not quite right because I can't curve, but you get the idea. You're cutting through the foot, right? You get my drift. So that's the outside part of this. There's the half of the conical shape, and that's the outside. So she cut that little bit off there, and she's drawn that width of that. Then she cuts another section, and she draws the width of that, or the length of it. Maybe it's probably better to say. Then she and the images above are showing what it would look like if you took each section. So this is taking little sagittal sections. She takes another section, offset from the center. So offset, offset, offset. So none of them have got to the center yet, and they've all got different lengths, obviously. And then you've got the central medial plane. All right, that's the central plane that you have right there. That's the central mediolateral plane. And that's as if you were to cut right down the middle. And then she's put an arrow for that. So that's the purple arrow. So the purple arrow is heel to toe length of the offset position 3. All right. So then she goes and says, these are cross sections through the hoof, the mediolateral plane, simplified symmetrical CAD model for illustration. This is one. Oh, I can't highlight it here now. I can't highlight it. Sorry, I can't highlight it. This is one reason why I'll go along with my arrow, which you probably can't see. This is one reason why a simple diagram showing a long lever because of a long toe assumption does not hold much water. There's a significant shortening of the supposed lever as you move off the central plane of the foot. The coloured arrows are there to show the position and scale of each of these 4 simple sections. So as the foot lifts, all the foot is on the ground here. And as that foot begins to lift, less and 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 less, quite significantly, is left on the ground because of its rounded conical shape. When we look at the DDFT P3 in the tip of the dorsal toe wall and extrapolate that there's a big lever at the toe and that the toe must be taken back in order to help with breakover, we're not actually seeing the true picture, right? So this is taken from an X-ray. Vet sees it, take the toe back. Anybody sees it, take the toe back. Anybody looks at the foot, take the toe back. The hoof is not the same shape through all cross sections, as you can see. In fact, it's wildly different the moment that we move off the very central plane. So as soon as you move off this one, it starts to change. Why is this wrong? The diagram approach is based on presenting information common to engineering free body diagrams that model a system to allow calculation of forces such as lever length, fulcrum, etc. And the engineering full body diagram holds true only when it is representative of the whole thickness of the sample, like if it was a block. Therefore, the maths will then hold true. It cannot hold true because you've got too many differentials here, right? So you can't just say, you can't even just say, with that one paper that came out many moons ago, and you hear people quoting it constantly, for every, I think, centimeter of length, you increase the force by 50 kilos or some craziness like that. And based on horses that were shod, which already have an unnaturally long hoof and a shoe on. That, right. And yet people, without knowing what they're talking about, without understanding gait, without understanding the mechanism of walking of a horse, and without understanding the conical shape, without understanding that it's a biological system, just go, oh, it's a lever force. Wrong. This is biology. There are nerves, sensation, and weight shifting to consider. A brain. And very complex geometry. A simple 2D sketch, which is what this is limited when it comes to describing the forces. So the simple diagram is misleading and does not describe the system for mathematical solutions. So in other words, the diagram of the she's talking about the sagittal section, not this diagram above, but the sagittal section, the half section, where you're just looking at that one area. You've not taken into consideration that it's conical, that it's 3D, not 2D. People look at that and then think that the toe must be peeling off without thinking about all the other little bits that go with that. So that's why she then starts to move on. I'm going to just stop sharing for a moment. Are you with me? Oh, he's moved. Are you with me? Has everybody understand? I'm going to stop now, children, so you can ask me any questions just in case you don't understand. Do you understand? Is now that making a little bit more sense on those diagrams? Did you understand those diagrams initially, Gary, when you looked at them? No. So nobody did. Now, do you understand them?
It looked very impressive, and I thought I need to read more. And even if I'd read more, I'd still need a little explaining.
But you get that now, right? That's becoming more obvious now, isn't it? It's becoming more obvious. It's
you get the gist, but you want to fully understand it, I think, is what we want, isn't it?
You can do it with fully understand. You can, and you can do it with any round object. This is a tape measure. It is on the ground, right? As it starts to lift At the moment, all of this is on the ground. And remember, this is rounded here at the toe. It's not straight across. And I'll explain that in a second. But it's rounded. As it lifts, look how it releases on the sides. And look what we're finally left with at the end. Just a tiny, tiny little bit. Boop. Right? Imagine if... I'm not flat. Hang on, I've got to use my phone now. Imagine if we had something flat, which is how they perceive it. Right? This is how they perceive it. Do you see? This is my flat. I have to use my phone because that's the only bit of flat I have. Well, it'll do. It'll do. And now they perceive it because it's in a 2D and they're imagining that front levering. Imagine this is what they're thinking. If I lift the back of this completely flat object going all the way across, if I lift the back, look at all of it is still in contact with the ground. As opposed to if I took that end and I lifted it up, there'd only be a tiny bit at the end because it's rounded. This is flat. So if I lift... Oh. I don't know whether I'm getting through.
It makes
Garry,
sense.
do you understand?
Yes, it makes sense.
Do you understand? Let's take my little tri-square here. And if I lift it up, you're not looking at the back bit, you're just looking at this bit here at the front, which is a long strip. If I lift that up, all of it is still in contact with the ground. 2D model, completely flat at the front. So the lever forces on that are going to be greater than the lever forces on that. Do you see?
Indeed.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. That makes sense. Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, understanding. So brilliant, Esme. Thank you. I did not understand that before. I do now. Good. That was Aston. Jeanette says, bonsoir. Bit late. Oh, super. You're showing Deborah's incredible graphics. I am. You're not too late. Here we go. Right. We'll go back in. Go. Oh, no, I don't want to invite. I keep clicking on the invite button. Right. So we understand that, right? We can see that there's changing because we've got different sections, different sagittal sections. And remember, Garry, on the infamous module 7, remember me talking about all the sections?
Yes,
on the...
I do.
I'm sure it gave you PTSD. Right, let's move on. Diddly 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 dee. So now we're explaining that even more, right? So this is her going further into it and explaining that a little bit more. So the hoof wall contact area, let me just click off that. The hoof wall contact area assumes ground with give, frog, etc., not modeled. The amount of area being leveraged diminishes very quickly, and this assumes zero lift of the leg. Okay, so this is because the leg is lifting. So, but this is just showing you what's going on here without, because we're moving forward as this horse is doing this, but this is just a graphical representation. So, or a diagrammatic representation. So this is with the hoof standing flat on a flat surface. This is why they get confused, because they don't see it as a conical shape. But what she's done here is she's shown it you from underneath, which is beautiful. There's your shape that's now on the ground. All of it. Well, we know that it's got arches, but that's not very relevant here. But the point is, and in fact, the equine world don't think about that anyway. So they would imagine it like this. And there's the red line at the bottom giving you that example. A beautiful diagram. So really work really well. So now we've got a 2-degree heel lift. Now look what's on the ground. Still quite a bit of the toe, but not masses. Well, the only bit that's got full toe is their dead center. And you've got hardly anything at the sides. And now you can see that here with the red. You can see it's slightly thicker there. And then we go for a 4-degree lift. Look, we've got even less, tiny little bit there. And the further it goes up, the more that happens. So when you go to a 10-degree heel lift, look, barely anything. 20 degree heel lift before it goes boop off the ground. Barely anything at all. Do you see? Do you see the difference? So the point of hoof rotation, where it's just the tippy toe, just here, that's engaging, the toe lever forces diagram position, is substantial. The 20 degrees is the first where it looks just like the toe is being pulled. But look at it. It's a tiny little point. None of this is happening at the moment until we get up to here. At this point, there's very little to no loading down through the limb. The knee's bent. Weight transfer has occurred to the other limb. The limb can be lifted fairly easily. Are we understanding? Yeah. The area in contact with the ground is now very small compared to the initial couple of degrees of tilt position, which was up here. Look at this. Look how much is on the ground here. Where the horse has significant ground contact, assuming some give in the ground, right? Assuming that it's not completely solid, or, there's a little bit of give there. The toe, that would actually allow them to power off the ground. The toe tip is surrounded by a lot of wrapped around hoof wall. Okay, so this is not just a tip hanging around flimsy like this here at the end. Look, this is a flimsy piece of emery board that's totally knackered that I should just chuck in the bin, but I use it to file my nails, obviously. But you can see it's bending because it's flimsy. These aren't flimsy. The hoof wall, the conical shape, because of the shape that it is not flimsy. The toe tip is surrounded by a lot of wrapped around hoof wall that is free from force, because there's no force on it now. It's up here. By a lot of wrapped around hoof wall that is free from force and will support any leverage this small section of the toe wall may be subjected to. In other words, all of this is far more mass than that tiny little bit there. So that is going to go, it's okay down there, little tip. Don't you worry. You're fine down there, because you ain't possibly going to be able to pull us apart, because we're all with you. We've got you. We're holding you. You can't pull us apart. That's what's happening. So horses are standing on the equivalent of a tiptoe. So right, reverse. Now we're talking about the actual digit. They're standing on this digit at the end. They don't have a foot like us, which is at right angles to the leg. And if you want to read what I've put about that, I actually put something in Deborah's post in the comments, if you want to go and read what I put, just to add to this. Because if we stand like that, we are at right angles. We've got a flipping great foot out here. And the reason for that is we're bipeds. And when we walk in a controlled fall. That's how humans walk. We catch ourselves. That's how our legs look like. There's a straight down. Boop. They do not come out at right angles from the bottom of the foot. It might look like that when they're rehabbing, but that's not what they do. So horses are standing on the equivalent of a toe tip. They don't have a flex through the foot mechanics that humans do. Their gait locomotions differ significantly. It doesn't bend. This does not bend. However, if this was our foot just about to leave the ground, our toes would be here with a bend, ball of the foot just about taking this force here. And then as we lift that ball of the foot, the toes come off, right? Because it's actually the ball of the foot that you roll off onto, which is actually what you push with. You're not actually pushing with your little toesies. They bend in order for that ball of the foot to take that force, right? Horses don't do that. Aside from the obvious, they also have 4 legs. So there's 3 other legs in there. The power and spring and push is generated through the long levers of the limb. The hoof toe is just a push pad, but as a mostly rigid structure. And it's not particularly pushing by the time it gets to here. All right. As it starts to tilt, as soon as it starts to tilt, it becomes less effective to push off from. You see, as it starts, hello. You can start to push, but by the time it gets beyond 4 degrees, an entire weight of the horse is not going to get pushed like this. And it can't anyway, because there's no weight coming through the leg at all, except for just the actual weight of the leg, because it's transferred. the weight is transferred. And what's more, because of that, and it's only a tiny little area here, because there's no weight coming down through the leg, the force coming up from the ground has diminished significantly too. So we've been talking about this for years. The power, and the limb is already in a lifting phase as the body weight has been shifted away from the limb. Boom. Try walking yourself without moving the weight off your standing leg before rolling through the foot. You engage a lot of muscle, feel a lot of force through your foot, but the bit you can't push off from is where you're on your tiptoe, the bendy bit. You can definitely roll up through the foot, you can, to that point, but once you're on your toe, there's no force left. Are we with you? Are you with me? Horses push up through their fetlock joints, hocks too, on their rear legs. They don't roll through their hoof. This, you see it. You see people put pictures of the foot, human foot, rolling forward, and you put pictures of the horse's foot rolling forward, and then they go right here at the tip. It's tearing. Impossible. There's no weight coming through the foot, and it's a conical shape, and the amount of actual contact on the ground is so minuscule at that point, it's insignificant. And we have talked about this for years. Horses push up through the they don't roll through the hoof. I'm lost where I am. Changing the angle of the fetlock pattern, not the hoof during the power phase. So it's all about other things that are going on in the leg. When we're powering forward on our feet and we're going forward to dampen the concussive forces that are coming up through our legs, our knees bend as we're running, right? We don't run with legs straight, do we? That would hurt. So we take that concussive force by bending forward at the knee. A horse doesn't do that. How do they take the concussive force? How do they do it? How do they take the concussive force? How does a horse dampen, the concussive force? How does it do it? You can answer that in a moment. I'm going to read what it says here. I'm stunned by the difference just a 2-degree lift makes. But it's obvious, right? When you see it and you see it underneath, makes sense. There is also a picture of the extrapolated mixed section as they incorrectly imagine it. I don't know if I saw that. I'll go find that in a minute, Angela. Hi, better late than never, says Alison. So glad you're explaining this great post. Brilliant. Deborah has a brilliant mind to have encapsulated this so well. Blows it all out of the water. Does. You see? She's been following us for years. And because she has that brain and she can run CAD and she understands all of that, I've been basically battering on about this for so long, and then she's gone, let's do it. Let's show exactly what is happening. And you only have to, honestly, guys, go out and film your horses crossing the camera, low down camera, slow-mo. In fact, we probably will have some we can show you. Actually, I'll find some. Watch what happens to the leg as the back of the foot begins to lift. It effectively goes floppy. It's just being dragged along, right? And the muscles that are doing everything up here are now going into lift mode. They're not pushing. They're going into, we're lifting now up. Right, okay. So Sarah, oh my God, I can't, hello up there. Okay, so wait, my brain is braining. So the heart bar shoe, we're onto the shoes already. So the heart bar shoe that's wedged at the heel is now replacing the toe that was naturally there. Well, the whole of the shoe has replaced everything that was underneath the foot, right? And remember, guys, shoes are much wider than a foot. They're not organic, they're not dynamic, and they can't flex. Just put that in there. So my question is, what happens to the toe wall that's left above where they have chopped? What, in a shoe? I don't quite know what you mean. Is that now under immense strain halfway up the hoof? Would the exposed laminae between the shoe and hoof wall not then want to push out the space, as there is now no capsule, therefore allowing P3 movement as they have destroyed the wall? Right, so there's actually quite a few things you've said there. Just going on to the laminae and the pushing bit, I am absolutely 100% sure that the horse feels that. Very similarly, well, yeah, I'm going to say that, because remember, there's nerves in that horse's foot. And when we put our toes down, let's say, I've said this before, if we cut our toenail too short, and that hard nail is covering that soft tissue, isn't it? And we cut it too short, and then we put our weight onto our foot. We're putting weight through our leg onto the foot, onto the ground. We've ground force coming up, we're pushing down like this. That soft tissue now pushes up and bulges beyond the nail a little bit. It was keeping it down before, but now we've cut the nail back. As we get this force going up, it bulges that part up, right? And we feel that. It's really unpleasant. You think, oh God, I definitely cut my nails back too short. It's not a pleasant feeling, because we're used to that feeling. And also the nails are there keeping everything contained. So, okay, we have hard horn. We have the epidermal laminae. We have the outer hoof wall, inner hoof wall, epidermal laminae. But all connected in there, of course, is the dermal laminae. Very, very, very close to that. And if you haven't got hoof wall covering the whole of the foot all the way down to the ground, this conical shape, when that horse puts its foot down with a shape of pedal bone that is also not 2D, it's not flat, it's not flat across, is it? Like this. This is also conical shape. As this pushes down, as everything comes down, it's not the weight of the bones, guys. People always think it's the bones that carry the weight. They don't. Your soft tissues carry the weight. When you go to Weight Watchers or Slimming World to lose weight, you don't lose weight off your bones, do you? You're losing weight off your soft tissues, right? So it's the weight of it's the weight of the soft tissues that are actually carrying all of the weight. Okay, that's coming down. You're not telling me that the horse can't feel that, because it doesn't have that opposing pressure of the opposing force of the wall anymore, because that bottom part is gone. Now, you can feel a lamella wedge and you can push it. It's not hard. It's soft-ish, isn't it, Gary? It isn't hard. It's fairly soft. If it has not got wall covering it, I tell you now, that horse can feel it.
Oh, yes.
Definitely feel it. Explain your other. There was another question in there that I didn't quite get. So it was naturally my question: what happens to the toes? Yeah, so we've now completely, when we put a shoe on, it's not flexible, it's not organic, it's not dynamic, doesn't bend, it's got no arches in it. And when you put a heart bar shoe on, which completely encapsulates the foot, so you've shut down the hoof mechanism completely, the back of the foot cannot do any remote bit of expansion. And incidentally, somebody was talking about open back shoes. Do they allow expansion? No. That's also rubbish. And just take a shoe off, put it on the foot 6 months later, not even that, and you will start to see how the heels have decontracted. So the metal shoe is going to cause a problem, and it's going to increase. Because it isn't the same shape. It's flatter. It is rounded though, but it is flatter, and the amount that you've got going backwards is now thicker than if you just had the inner hoof wall touching the ground, which is minuscule. I mean, we're talking 2 mil. Most horses would prefer it just to be 2 mil. We always err on the side of caution and give them a bit more, but 2 mil. Well, you've got a great big huge piece of metal. That ain't 2 mil. Right. La 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 la. Yeah. Through the I see you're responding. Dun. What was that? What was my question? I don't know. Gary, what did I ask?
I've forgotten.
What was my question? Oh my God.
You went off on one.
I so go off on one. Oh, yes, that was it. How do they dampen the forces? Our knee bends forward. What do they do? Karen says the fetlock.
The fetlock.
And which way does the fetlock go? Does it go forward?
Backwards.
It goes backwards. Completely different.
It doesn't go forward, it goes backwards.
Completely different biomechanics.
It's ass backwards.
It's ass backwards. It's completely different. Totally different. Yes, many vets think there's leverage. Don't they study whole horses? You would think so. No. Well, no, they don't study this. This is never really ever been discussed by anybody. I mean, it'd be great, get together with Deborah and we'll stick a paper out. They don't discuss this sort of thing. I mean, let's face it, we in the live that we had last night, we had them saying that horse that had acute laminitis in one foot.
Oh, and it was hind foot.
And only today, somebody else on the internet who's going to do a laminitis talk, talking about laminitis causing rotation and sinking. No. And it's lack of experience. It's lack of experience just dealing with hundreds and thousands of hoof capsules. If you really are a critical thinker, you'll get it. It isn't difficult, to be honest. And rehabbing and realigning and sorting it out, you then know, wasn't that caused it, my lovelies? It was incorrect hoof care. Deborah, this needs to be written up and published in appropriate journals. There you go. Look at that. There we go. Perfect. People will still argue. People will argue, but it'll make a lot of people
always
think. Digital cushion, all the blood flowing is highly vascular pedal bone. Yeah. So of course you've got the fetlock coming down. You've got P2. You've got P1 and P2 start to come down. Pastern joint doesn't move that much. It's really the fetlock that's really moving, but those two move a little bit. They have to, otherwise that's why there needs to be a joint in there. And then P2 on the distal interphalangeal joint articulates down, pushes onto the navicular bone, that then pushes into the digital cushion, that then the frog, which is the frog horn, because the digital cushion is the frog subcutis. That's its subcutaneous layer. And then the frog is there to give a bit of resistance. And then the ground, of course. And when you have this terribly atrophied frog, atrophied digital cushion, pain as the back of the foot comes down, oh, that's not really very nice. It's not cushioning it properly. Fetlock's not going to load properly. Foot's not going to load properly. You go into hell in a handbasket then, as the whole rest of the body is compensating and trying to get their foot off it. You'd do the same if you felt a bit sore at the back of the foot. You wouldn't load it properly. You might not necessarily see it, but you wouldn't load it properly until you were properly limping. That would be like having a hole in your sock and your toe pushing through with every step. Sort of, except your sock isn't rigid. Your sock is like a rigid nail or a rigid horn. Your sock is soft. So what we're talking about is containing. I know what you're saying, but you need to contain. All right. You need to contain. Interesting as hoof walls curl up like terrible laminitic hooves, as we've all seen. If leverage was true, these cases would tear, not curl up around. No leverage at all for sure. Well, it's horn. Have you ever seen anybody grow their fingernails? When that loses its guide, when the fingernail comes off the end of the guide of the tissue, it's anybody's guess what it's going to start doing. If you leave it longer and longer, it's just depends how it's got to grow, doesn't it? It's the same with the horse's foot. If everything has got a guide, it's going to continue to follow that guide. Problem we have with high heels and P3s that are rotated is that it's struggling now to follow its guide. That's what the laminae are there for. They're the guide. They're keeping the hoof wall next to the guide. And as that hoof wall then starts to go this way because it can't connect next to this anymore, it's losing its guide. And so beyond that, if the hoof then gets very long, and let's say we haven't got any osteonecrosis, the hoof has just not been trimmed for a very long time. You've seen them on the internet. They go curly. They do all sorts of things, but they're not necessarily going to snap off. And the reason that they're going curly is not because they've been levered. It's just because the horn has now got no guide and it's just curling away. They might look dreadful, but they're not actually horrifically bad, difficult trims. They just look really dramatic. They're not particularly difficult trims. You get down to hard sole plain, chop all that off. But if you have osteonecrosis, where you've lost a great portion, a significant portion of your pedal bone, that then starts to play into a different ball game, because the hoof wall's coming down, but it's lost the bottom. Here's P3, and it's lost that bottom half. So this part of the wall just is like, don't know where I'm going now. So that's when we start to have issues on that front. Oh God, you all put loads of things up. I always thought that shoes would be causing continuous concussion up to the coronary band. Then surely there's got to be 100%. Oh yeah. Especially at the quarters, because they're meant to be arches, and they're not. They are in full contact, and they're hyperactive usually because they put the nails there and leave them proud. So really bad. And you've got to think of frequencies as well. I think you've heard me talk about vibrational frequencies and the hertz vibrational frequencies. There are certain vibrational frequencies that they now know can heal tissues, and there are certain vibrational frequencies that can cause pathogenesis, so that it can cause tissues to grenade effectively. And unfortunately, tests have been done on the vibrational frequencies of repetitively putting your foot down on hard ground with a shoe, bang, 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 on roads, because it's going to wear the foot off, is not a healing frequency. It's mind-boggling that to try to fix this supposed leverage problem, they create something far worse. Humans are just useless, thinking they can change things. Yes. Now, here's an interesting thing. I want to go back to Deborah's images a moment. Just looking at this, for instance. No, let's go and have a look at this one. When they take the toe off, what they're doing is you'll hear people talk about a 10-to-2 trim. So they've removed this section here, pretty much, and they're relying on these areas here as being the area that the horse is now going to walk on. However, the horse doesn't want a gap here at all. And it needs a pillar of support, because its support pillars are not at the toe quarters. The support pillars are at the toe. Hence the reason that when the foot rolls off, look, it will leave its support pillar, will be the last thing to leave the ground. The toe pillar will be the last thing to leave the ground. But now we've taken that away, we haven't got that toe pillar as the last thing to leave the ground now. So that's cocking up the whole thing. All of this lifting, etc. It's cocking up. So what does the horse do? It creates a callus in here, doesn't it? It creates a callus. Now that callus is not a quite fine hoof wall, which is very, very narrow. Because by the time this is on the ground, this is a very narrow, she's drawn it here, but it's a very tiny part of the hoof wall, because it's tiny. It's not thick and wide like a shoe. But then the callus is put in there. That callus is now not part of the conical shape. It's a different material. It's made of horn, but the matrix is slightly different. And the structure is slightly different. And so then what happens is that the horse is now having to effectively leave the ground, because they're bringing the breakover back, which is what they're talking about, back here. That's not how this system works. That's not how it's designed to work. And therefore, that point that leaves the ground will be different to this point, because we're back here now. And it will not be its natural pillar of support. Okay. I hope I'll go back and read some more comments in a minute. So we've done that. We've done that. We've done that. Right. Now she's talking about the bit that I was talking about earlier, where we have the one spot point here, as opposed to the image that they imagine, which is this sagittal section, this cut in half, that there's all of this area here coming off. But it isn't, because it's conically shaped. So the 2D representation of a toe lever is misleading, this being that, because our brains interpret it as the image on the right, this one here, not the image on the left. The fall away due to the conical, in other words, all of this fall away, everything that is now falling away, all of this red that's disappearing, that's the fall away, due to the conical shape, is very rapid. It diminishes incredibly quickly. You know, as it's going up, it diminishes very quickly. And the shape of the hoof provides this significant supportive unloaded wall structure around that loaded area. Again, remember, we've got you. You're okay down there. Little tip, because we've got this big, tough, fairly rigid capsule that we are giving supportive structure to. The risk of tearing through the wall due to lever forces is improbable, is putting it mildly. It's just not going to happen. And even if you leave a longer toe, it is still rounded. And what we're doing is trying to get half the time, most of the time, is trying to get toe wall down to the ground, because they have thinned all of that area underneath P3. Just isn't enough material underneath P3. And then she talks about it. So the conical hoof wall means that as the foot tilts, there's less wall in actual contact with the ground, surrounded by this strong, unloaded wall that is now not loaded. Snepa and hoof. This is not a hoof. This isn't a hoof, even though it's from a side view of what the brains think. If it were, then yes, we should worry about toe lever forces. But I hope not even the internet can find someone who would claim that this represents a horse's hoof in any way. Do you see? But because that's the 2D image, is what the brain thinks, and this is the conical image, looks the same, but this is a tiny little tip, and this is all the way across, and that's what your brain is thinking when you're thinking of lever forces. That endeth the lesson and the description of Deborah's post. Do you understand that now? I can't, Gary. You're muted. I'm unmuting you.
It was because Mother was in the kitchen. I didn't want her to disturb you.
Oh, so what do you think of that, Gary?
Well, I think I can't wait for this to go out on YouTube. Oh my goodness. And I have to say, I haven't got my whirly thing. You'll have to do it for me because it's on my desk.
Deborah Norris.
Deborah Norris.
We love
absolutely
you.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
It's great, isn't it? So simple too, really, when you think of it, when you look at it like that and you start thinking about it's very, 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 very simple system. And this isn't a 2D, again, we're trying to refer to, this isn't a 2D object. This is a organic dynamic system, a biological system that's innovated, etc., is what we said. So you can't even imagine the rest of that goes with it. Just imagine any part of your body being touched. You know, it's being touched. You know it is. Even your eyelashes, even if you just hands across your, I've got very fine hairs on my arm. Gary's got much bigger hairs on his arm. But if you do that and without touching it, you'll feel it. So do horses. You feel it. You know, it knows. If I tap on my nail, I tell you what, if I bash my nail, because my nail isn't that thick, like we did when we were canoeing, it hurts. I can feel it. Alison Franks, argument, or rather discussion off the back of publications is good, and it stimulates rethinking, at least in some. Not discussing more widely with the mechanics explained is critical. to promote change. Indeed it is. I've seen a lot of comments coming up on other pages now to say how you have completely disproved the leverage theory. We see lots of comments coming up now about all sorts of things where we're disproving it all.
That's a good one.
It is. Oh, Zoe Ocklin. Hello, Zoe. I don't think, have we seen you before on a live? I think the load on the toe is actually bigger when the toe is too short. Right, like I explained, because of the callus. You got it. Because the horse tends to lean out over the shoulders, then the toe is short, and then it takes the weight off the foot later. Then if the toe is longer, what do you think? Well, think on this, right? The pillar of support, that is that horse's pillar of support. It doesn't change. It's its pillar of support, unless you have some catastrophic thing that happens biomechanically to the horse's body, where it will shift its weight and shift the way it walks. Throughout its life, normally it will have a specific pillar of support at the toe region. That gets removed, ignored. Now the horse is still going to walk the same way, but it now doesn't have its pillar of support there now. It has been changed and artificially been put in by human beings, i.e. those toe quarter pillars. That's not how the horse walks. He can't just suddenly go, oh, I have a toe quarter pillar now. I know I should walk that way now. It doesn't work like that. He still will be like, oh my God, that feels crazy. So the body goes to trauma, because it's now trauma. It goes, boom. I'll try and put out a toe callus to support and create my toe pillar, because I can't grow toe wall down fast enough, because we've now slowed that darn thing down, because we're not getting feedback anymore. And we know that 100%. We know that. It slows down. Anybody on anywhere, you take the toe off and you watch it, you're there 3 months later, 6 months later, going, come on, toe wall, please I've been trimming the heels for months. Come on, toe wall. So you take that toe pillar away, you bugger up the whole system. You literally bugger up the whole system. Zoe, load would be greater with over shortened toe, because the hoof now has a greater surface area in contact for longer as the back of the hoof lifts. Got it. Toe callus. There's another comment under there. Do you see these comments that come up that you can't quite see? Something is so powerful, and I can't quite see that comment. I look at my cadaver the other day and it has a shoe on. Made me shudder. You almost want to take a minute to apologize as you handle them. Oh, bless you. Yeah. I spend my life apologizing to horses, living ones. I walk past them if I see them, and sometimes, and I look at them and I go, I am sorry. But you were born at the wrong time, because humans are still ignorant. Humans are still ignorant. They don't know. They are struggling to know, and some of them don't want to know. So is the natural Mustang roll that we replicate, that's nature's way of helping breakover. Now, yeah, we're not replicating it. We are just removing the outer hoof wall, following the horse's natural shape. Gary, you got something to say? Are you watching something? We're following the natural shape, aren't we?
Yes, I was watching something going on in the kitchen. Sorry.
You're following the natural shape. So you're not, therefore, if you are one of those people, or you've seen them, that try and do a Mustang roll this way, they're not following the horse's natural shape. They're just looking at a shape from above and then shaping it. If you do it from below, you can see that my hand is not even all the way around, right? If I was to draw around that on a piece of paper, this part obviously is the tallest bit. But if I was to cut my hands in half and do a sagittal section like that, one side would be slightly this side here would be slightly taller than that side. And we see that all the time when we're looking at horses' feet. They're not entirely symmetrical across the volar plane. They have more sometimes on one side than the other. And certainly at the toe, that one toe is slightly higher than the other. Usually on front feet, they're actually shaped like this, like our hands. They're actually shaped like that, with more just slightly off center towards the inside. Now you can have them that way round. It does happen, but it's not very common. That's the common, and with a slight tilt inwards as well. People are like, oh my God, my horse is pigeon-toed, because they go beyond that tilt. It's all right. The horse has got it covered. And when it's got bony conformational way that they were just born and made up, and of course when they were growing, what was happening to them in terms of diet management, movement, riding, shoeing, tack, all of those things, humans, that can also have an effect as things are growing. Pia says, thank you for this. You're welcome. That made me think of that then. You remember when we used to do that as kids? Did we used to say nanu, nanu?
Nanu. Nanu, nanu. And we shake hands.
How many other people? No, nanu, nanu.
Nanu.
Oh,
Do you remember the program?
Mork and Mindy.
Mork and Mindy.
It was.
He was an alien.
Robin Williams, wasn't it? Oh God, what an amazing man he was. How did we get to that?
He was.
What is the process of publishing a paper? Can this be published? It can, if you're in the right channels. They think we are sheep. Oh, I know. Gullible sheep. That's that. But in actual fact, you have incredibly intelligent members creating their own hypothesis from the information you give them. The flock is rising all by themselves. It ceases to be a hypothesis when you start to have evidence.
When you've got evidence to say that this is actually true.
That's right.
It's not a hypothesis anymore.
You have to prove your hypothesis, right? This is my hypothesis. This is what I believe. This is what I think. So Deborah's taken what we've said and what she thinks and her amazing brain and the conical shape and all of that. And she's done that and showed us that. And then the evidence is right there in front of you. She's come up with her hypothesis because obviously based on real true shaping and conical shaping and everything. She's come up with that. And then the evidence is what you see out in the field. Okay. Nicola, you pick a suitable impact journal and write your paper in their style and submit. Tara, hang on a minute. Timmy? Tim? I can hear that, whatever that is. The click, Tara Epps, the click for me was the foot at the point of breakover is not loaded, it's upward forces. Right.
It's being lifted. If it's being lifted, where is the force? The force is going upwards. It's not going downwards. You're so right.
Need to print
the
this out
on the other three legs.
Need to print this out to take to clients or link this to make sure they read this. Fabulous. I know, right? But the thing is, you get it because you're actually quite a way down the road and you've had it explained to you. And we've already explained to you about no lever forces and why there's no lever forces and all of that. And in the school, we teach our pros this. We talk about gait. We talk about biomechanics. We talk about how the limb is unloading, how the knee is bending and all of that. We talk about all of that. But in the whole great scheme of things, when you're trying to talk to an owner who's fresh at this, it's difficult, actually. It's difficult. It's difficult to explain it. It's difficult for people to wrap their heads around it. It really, really is. Jeanette says, this is so brilliant. I'm a visual thinker with strong spatial logic. As soon as I saw Deborah's schemas, everything you have been saying for years about leaf suddenly clicked into place. I'm happy. Whoa!
Awesome.
Yes. Thanks, Joe. I need to print this out. If you do, guys, please credit Deborah Norris as a Phoenix warrior. Fiona F. Hello, Fiona F. I have a pigeon-toed horse who jumps 3 for 3 barefoot without a care in the world. Tell him his hooves are wrong. Exactamundo. Oh, hello, Lancelot. Good to see you. How are you doing, baby?
Don't stand on the keyboard.
I'm sorry, Canadian 1 meter. Yeah, 3 foot. I know what you were saying. 3 for 3. Nano, showing your age. I know, right? Can we put the post in featured? Already done it. I've already put it in the featured section. It's already done. That's what I was saying. So if you ever come across anybody that on the page that's talking about lever forces and why isn't the toe being levered, etc.,
just send them there.
Yeah, because what's really interesting, guys, is I can understand in a way them thinking that there's lever forces because the toe's getting longer, right? I can get it. It isn't, because obviously we've still got that conical shape, we've got that rounded shape, and for all of those reasons, still got a pillar of support in that area. And when it lifts off, it's still going to do the same sort of thing. But I can sort of more understand them thinking that. What I really can't understand is when you take an absolutely perfectly pretty normal hoof capsule that has no separation and they still bloody dump the toe. They still take the toe pillar off. They still do it. And then they set the shoe back. It's just because, of course, if you set now here's the not very pleasant thing. You set a shoe back. Here's your foot here, and you set the shoe back. Don't know how I can do it. And my phone is the shoe. So pretend this is the outside hoof wall now, not the pedal bone, and this is meant to be touching the ground here, right? But if you put the shoe in and you put the shoe back, and this bit here is the final thing to leave the ground, this is completely buggering up the horse's natural gait and biomechanics, and they do it all the time because they think as humans that's what you should be doing. Setting it back, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. That's a song, isn't it? Would be great to easily done. Hello, says Laura. A little late to the party. Haha. I should catch up tomorrow. Good, it's a good one. Hi, Laura, says Heidi. Lancelot. I know, it's so lovely. What happens with a horse with 2 toe pillars? So if you have very symmetrical hooves and the horse is walking in a manner that it has basically the toe pillar is at the front, but there's a little tiny gap, and so the toe pillars are just either side of it. Honestly, I don't think I'd never see it in the domestic world. And yet you listen to the donkey sanctuary and they'll tell you that the horse has 4 pillars of support. Are they thinking the 2 heels and 10 to 2? I hope to God they're not, because it's still a conical shape. They don't. They are just, you lose any donkey foot unless they're dead symmetrical. They don't. So that's not correct. It's correct to say that they are usually 3 as opposed to 4. Not saying that there aren't. I'm not saying there aren't, but it's not usual. Now we've got Gaston. Right.
This is my Muppet dog.
I wonder if I can show. Let me just. You give me 1 minute. Let me just see if I can see. If I can find slow-mo. I might not be able to. I have hundreds of slow-mo images of horses walking, but I can't put my actual. I can't put my hand on one just at this moment. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. No, I can't find it. No,
maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe see if I can find it tomorrow and show you then, because I can't Oh,
You just found it.
I found one. I don't know if it's going to load because it's got to download itself, but it might. Oh, yeah, there you go. There it is. Do you remember I showed you this before of Sam and Daisy? So let's just present. Let's just present this. Share screen. Share. Can you see that?
After my trimming? Yes, it was.
Oh, so let me just take the sound off. We don't want all of that, but it's series of slow-mo hoof landings on different surfaces, different breeds. Right. You're not looking at the hoof landing. If you want to look at the lifting, fair enough. But what you're specifically looking at, and I suggest you look at the front feet because this is much easier to see, the unloading. Look at the horse shifting its weight from one side to the other and watch the knee bending and the hoof lifting all at the same time. So watch, let's see if we can see these different ones. So as that left forge is just a right forward, watch the right forward, just about, and you see as it's lifting, the knee is bending. So the weight is leaving. There is no full weight on the ground anymore. Heel lifts, knee bends. And with the hind foot, you get the bend at the stifle, which is the true knee. So let's look at another one. Look at the front legs, because it's easy to see with the front because you're not looking at the stifle. So you look at the front legs. Heel lifts, leg bends. No weight going through that. So by the time it gets to the point of breakover, which they're all talk about, there's no absolutely nothing there anymore. So we're not looking at the landings, we're looking at the lift. And we're looking at the knee on the lift. Can you see? Do you see it? And with the back foot, it's the bend in the stifle, of course. Look at the knee in the lift. Let me just go back. Hold on. Watch this. At the pause. That is this moment here. If you're going to have a long toe become a problem, this is the exact spot that it's going to be an issue. Because when this toe is longer here, it's the hyperextension of this leg, because now we've still got heel on the ground. Well, just. I didn't quite pull it in time. And there's this one moment where we're getting weight transfer over to the other side. So he's transferring over to this leg. He's starting to load on his right fore now. So what's happening with the left fore is he's moving that, transferring that over. And for that 1 second, we have that stride where both feet are on the ground. That's hyperextension at the back of here. Okay. Now, or well, it's flexing here, but it's extending at the back. So the point there is, if the toe's long, what would the horse do if it was going to bother it? What we actually find is that they rarely change their stride length, in fact. But if it was going to bother the horse, they just shorten the stride length a little bit. But what we find is it doesn't. So now what I want you to see is that this heel is going to lift. Watch, now the weight is being transferred. When it's ready to lift, the weight is gone over. Watch the knee. I can't slow, I can't, oh, I can. Slow it down even more. Watch the knee. Watch, now the knee, now it's lifting. This is taking its weight now. Watch the knee. See, do you remember Deborah's diagram? Do you see what's happening now? Look at this foot. It's no longer straight, this leg. So the muscles are now getting ready as they're lifting. Where are the lever forces currently on that foot? What is pushing?
Nothing.
And now we've gone past that whole conical shape. We're reaching that tiny little tip. Oh, and I can't even get there in time. Just in time. Look at this leg now. There's no weight there. And away we go. And with the other side, it's the stifle. That's why it's easier to look here, because it's the stifle joint that's bending here. So with the back legs, we have that moment when they're both there. And now we're going to be transferring the weight over to this left leg. Watch as this begins to lift. It's just getting ready to do it. Stifle is going to start bending. Up there, you can't really see it. Now look, just at the point here where you can see that the fetlock is so relaxed, it's bending forward. Where are the forces? Boom. Straight down. Bend as we transfer. There you go. I won't show you the whole video because we won't have time. How about that then, folks? That was a good session today, wasn't it? Oh, I love it. Love it when a plan comes together. Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that? Yeah, they're talking about Gaston. In considering publishing this stuff, pics from videos showing retained stride length and no impedance to locomotion would be invaluable. We got loads of them. Guess why? You're going to be taking those soon as well, Alison. We got loads of them. Got loads of them because our students take them all the time. Slow-mo pics of not only their own horses, but and now you are a student, you'll be doing the same. Absolutely fabulous. Ab-fab. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Got it. Boom. So next time when people start talking to you about lever forces, you just go, actually, mate, you taking the toe back and you affecting that horse's toe pillar is actually shifting where those forces lie and making it worse, in fact, for the horse. Big time. Great live. Brilliant. Yes, I just mean should all be included. Yes, in that particular, all of this. Basically, what we've just said tonight is our paper. Do you want to write it up? Great stuff. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thanks so much. Ab-fab indeed. Viviane is like, yeah. Even my old toe dragger didn't have separation. There you go. Does Bethan have any slow-mo? No. Yeah. I think she put some up the other day, in fact. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Excellent. Thank you. My mind is buzzing. Thank you for the discussion and explaining all of that. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, go look on her page. If she hasn't got it on her page, I'm pretty sure I know she sent me some the other day, so I've seen some. Right, we're going to go. We've been on far too long, but it's been a great live. I've enjoyed it. We've all enjoyed it. Cool. Absolutely cool. Happy to work with you. Of course you are. Of course you are. I'm going to video Cookie Long Toes today. Have a looky. Yeah. Slow-mo going across and have a look. They walk exactly the same. And they got a long tail or not. The same. The world is full of people who are not thinkers, full of people who have made assumptions. And you know what happens when you assume things?
Makes an ass out of you and me.
It does. Taurus's light bulb day. Oh, Jennifer's here.
Hi, Jennifer.
Brilliant. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
See you soon.
Nikki says, thank you both. Thank you, Debbie. Absolutely. Let's all just say one more time. Thank you.
Awesome, Debbie.
To Deborah Norris. Thank you for sticking with us and being an amazing brain. We love you. Right, we're off. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Ta-da.